What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode. Fall is here, and it is getting chilly. But with fall, I'm not sure about you guys, but I think about pumpkin pie. Well, why don't we turn that pumpkin pie into pumpkin pancakes? That's right, pumpkin pancakes, friends. This is a delicious recipe, and I know you guys will enjoy it too. So, what are we going to serve with our pumpkin pie pancakes? Well, it's not going to be maple syrup, but it's going to be maple cream cheese syrup. And it is ooey gooey delicious. So, let's get started. Alright, folks, so the first thing we need is 1 cup of AP flour. What's AP flour? Well, if you guessed armor piercing, you are wrong. All-purpose flour, folks. We need 2 tablespoons of white sugar. We need 2 teaspoons baking powder. This is going to help puff up those pancakes and make them very soft and fluffy. We need half a teaspoon of salt. We need half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. We need a quarter teaspoon of ground cloves. Now that we got all that in there, let's just whisk this stuff together just to make sure it's all incorporated. Alright. Alright, folks. Now we need 1 cup of milk. Let's throw in our egg. Alright, now we need a teaspoon of vanilla. And let's not forget the star of the show, my friends, pumpkin puree. We only need a quarter of a teaspoon. We need a quarter of a cup, friends. Let me just skim some off the top here. There she goes. Now let's blend it all together. That looks right to me, folks. Alright, we'll let that rest. But now let's make the maple cream cheese syrup. Alright, folks, for the syrup, I have a tiny 1-quart pot. But get yourself a whole 8-ounce package of Philadelphia cream cheese. Make sure it's been sitting out too and it's nice and soft. First thing we want to do is melt this down. Now on medium-low heat, friends. And before we add the other ingredients, we want to make sure this cream cheese is completely melted. Alright, that looks about right to me. Now let's add in a 1/4 cup of milk. And now let's follow that by a 1/2 cup of our maple syrup. Looks like I might need a tiny whisk this thing. All right, let's turn that heat down on low just to simmer, just so we can keep this warm. So let's make our pancakes. All right, friends, we have our griddle out. Got it warming up, but let's slather this with some butter. All right, friends, let's take our beautiful, delicious looking pumpkin pie pancake mix. And you only need a 1/4 cup for each pancake. Maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. I don't want to go too big though, because I got a tiny little spatula for this thing. You see the bubbles begin to come up to the top here, folks? That's how you know it's about time to flip. Alright, friends, let's grab a couple of these flapjacks. I'm sorry, they're not flapjacks, huh? Pumpkin pie pancakes. I'm gonna go with 3 of these guys. You know, that delicious syrup, that cream cheese maple syrup that we made. Let's just drown our pancakes in that. I don't think you can have too much of this. On the moment we've been waiting for. All right, friends, the moment we've been waiting for. Pumpkin pie pancake. I've never made this before, but this was a recipe request. Oh, Mmm. That, my friends. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. That is something the entire family will absolutely love. It's almost like a mix between a pumpkin pie and a cinnamon roll. These things are super light and fluffy. That clove and cinnamon with the vanilla, they all come together and just wrap your tongue in a big giant hug. This this can be dangerous. I promise you, very dangerous. Mm. And that syrup, the syrup is not very sweet. It's the perfect amount. You got the sweet pancakes with a nice creamy, very light maple syrup. It's almost like a frosting, but very mellow, and it complements the pancakes very well. Shout out to Keeper of the Park, one of my subscribers. Thank you for this recommendation. This 10 out of 10 out of the park. I will be making this again and again. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, hit that thumbs up. Follow me. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you know when I have a new episode. And if you're not a part of my locals yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that red button that says join. I have recipes on there I have not put on Rumble yet. Thanks, folks.